Hello, welcome back to Rivendurance Sports and another edition of what is in our stand today. Today I have an Access bike. I've never actually heard of it, so if anyone can make a comment down below that either they own one or they've heard of this bike, that'd be great. So it has a front brake issue where, you know, the usual stuff, right? The lever goes all the way to the bar and there's no braking action. So we're going to try to do the brake bleed while live. And of course, that also means there could be some bloopers that are not going to be cut out. So, okay. So before we get on to the topic of today, if you would please like and subscribe and please hit that notification bell. Okay. So it is a Shimano SLX M665. And it's hard to find brake bleed procedure for this. So I thought it might make sense for me to make a video because it's hard to find any information about it. So the first thing that I did was I inspected the brake pads, and they are very worn. And many times when someone says, I'm not getting any braking action, I think I need a brake bleed, this is usually over the phone, I say, well, bring it in, let's take a look. And they don't realize that their brake pads are worn because they've been riding and they just lost track of the last time that they changed the brake pads. So in this case, the brake pads were worn. The rotor was fine, but the pads were worn. But even with the new pads, the lever still did not have enough a satisfying brake feel. So what we're going to do is do a brake bleed. Now it's a little bit different with this one because it does not have a brake bleed port where you can put, like, let's say if you've seen other YouTube videos and other Shimano brake bleeds, you're familiar with this funnel. But you can't put this funnel on here because this is an open reservoir type of system. So what I've done prior to starting the video is that I have taken off the reservoir cap. And so there are two very small Phillips head screws that hold this reservoir cap on here. And there is a rubber diaphragm, if you will, but it is attached to the cap, and now we have an open reservoir. So the next thing is, well, before I did all that, sorry, I removed the pads because you always want to make sure that you don't contaminate good pads. In this case, they were bad, so they're going in the trash. But you have to reset the pistons and then put in a brake bleed block, which I don't have one for it, so I kind of jerry-rigged it with the cotter key and a different brake bleed block. All right, so that's installed. I'll show you that in a minute. And then I've removed the cap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the fluid out of the system because that's one of the methods that I have seen. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just drain out or siphon out or suck out as much of the fluid as possible from the system. And I'm not seeing much come up, and that's fine. So what we're going to do instead is there's a brake bleed port down here, and I'm going to attach this this syringe to it, and then I will grab the camera so I can show you what I am doing. All right. As usual, I'm working alone. This happens quite frequently here because I am a one-man shop. I'm off camera. I apologize for that. Give me just a second. just setting up my syringe. That's all. Nothing that is something you haven't seen before, but I will show you here in a minute. So in this case, what I would recommend is that maybe you fill the syringe more than you would normally, because we're just going to push the fluid from the caliper up to the reservoir. We don't care that it overflows. We want to make sure we get all the air bubbles out of the system, and then whatever's extra, it'll just spill over as we start to put the cap on. All right, so once I put this on here, I'm going to go get you, as they say, and then you'll see where I'm at. So just another second or two, and I'll be getting the camera so you can see what I'm doing. All right, you're coming along for the ride now. So here we go. We have the reservoir up here. And again, there's no place to attach a funnel. And then we have the brake caliper here with my jerry-rigged brake bleed block put in there. All right. We now have our hose connected. We have our syringe. So now what we're going to do is what you've always seen. We're now going to push fluid from this caliper up the system to here. And let's see what we get. What kind of air might be trapped in this system. So lots of air in the system. Push it through, push it through. And I'm going to take some of that excess fluid out. And maybe we'll just let it flow over. Because I just, yeah, see there's still more bubbles coming out. Now, one of the things that I notice is that fluid, oh, look at that. We are still getting lots of bubbles in the system. And one of the things I noticed was that fluid was very clear, and it should be pink. And so now that I am pushing this fluid through, we are seeing a lot more pink fluid. And maybe the previous fluid was not the correct fluid. All right, so we're going to close this valve. And the brake caliper is loose because there was no way to get the brake bleed block in there with the mount in the way. All right, so now I'm going to squeeze the lever and see what kind of action I get out of it. Yep, there we go. We have very good lever feel now. And there's no issue with any bubbles in the system. So that was a success on the first try through. However, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to refill the syringe, do it again, and that you do not need to see because it's basically the same thing. And I'm just one of those people that I would like to just push the fluid through again, just to make sure I've got all of that other clear fluid out. And yeah, this has very, very good brake feel now. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate all of you who have been watching my channel. If you have not subscribed, please do. And please tell your friends what we do on this channel. And in the meantime, we will see you up the road.